Bam, we are live. Welcome everybody to another Vagabond Dog Industry Chats. We've got my homeboy Vidhvat Medhan streaming from Hong Kong. So apologize if the connection gets spotty. Hold on, I've got 1 second. There's a little audio blip. There we go. Okay, now they can hear you.
Okay.
Perfect. So, yeah, welcome to the show. This is about an hour or so of us talking nonsense about development and video game stuff. And
I can do that.
you can do that. Okay, very good.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I guess give them your introduction. I find my guests do it a lot better than I can.
Okay. I can give it a shot. I'm Vidhvat. I made Lovely Planet. I'm now an ex indie developer, at least for a while.
You
It's been a while
escaped.
since yeah, it's been. I've made 4 games in the Lovely Planet series: Lovely Planet Arcade, Super Lovely Planet, and most recently Lovely Planet 2, which was supposed to be a sequel to Lovely Planet, but we can get into that.
Okay.
Uh, yeah.
um, yeah, look, we first met, I think, at a PAX.
Think it was PAX
6 years ago.
PAX Prime, I think. Yeah,
PAX Prime
2014.
2014. Yeah, so it was
Mm-hmm.
like just
Yeah.
as I was like finishing up Always Sometimes Monsters, and like Lovely Planet was like it says July you released. April, May. I was in May, you were in July. We were
Mm-hmm.
in the same nursery. um, in terms of like
Uh-huh.
launch window on Steam. Yeah, we met
Mm-hmm.
we met at PAX, and it's a good connection. But like we haven't. Thanks, Kath. The it's been a couple years since we've had a chance to talk.
Oh yeah.
And because that was a long time ago apparently. And
Mm-hmm.
for those of you who have not seen the Lovely Planet games, I will try my best to explain them. These are possibly the most hardcore first-person shooters of all time, but they are they're very time trial oriented. I think is a good way of describing it. Very
Yeah, I think so.
twitch reflex, that classic retro style muscle memory that you would get in like an old NES platformer, but converted into like a first person shooter. Like you've got to remember this bad guy's going to be here, this bad guy's going to be here. I've got to make this jump, and then it's like you've got to nail that sequence as perfectly as you can, as quickly as you can, in order to do well at the game. The thing about it though is it's adorable. It's full of hearts and color, and would not feel out of place sitting next to like Katamari Damacy or something like this. And that juxtaposition instantly endeared the game to me, and I quite enjoyed Lovely Planet and Lovely Planet 2. If you have like, but I'm a person who enjoys like really punishing first person shooter style games, as this chat has slowly come to realize. Uh, um, so I guess what what where did this game come from? We might have talked a little bit about this 6 years ago, but
Mm-hmm.
what started the Lovely Planet journey?
Well, usually like when you're getting into like making a game, you have this idea that you really want to try out and you're stoked about it. You want to, really flesh it out, prototype it, and see where like, how it turns out. You make like a version of a game, and then you realize that, the ideas that you had in your head really are not working out, so you change stuff up, and eventually you get at a game. You arrive at a game that's very much like a little bit different, at least from like what you imagined. Well, Lovely Planet was none of that. All right, it
Right.
was it was just I finished school, and I was just like, I'd been making games since forever, like small games that were not commercial games, but just like as a hobbyist I was always making games. And I was just like, it was like out of frustration almost, but I was just like, I'm gonna make a game, I'm gonna put it out, I'm gonna give it 1 year, and I don't care what it is. I'm just gonna put something together and call it my own and just put it out there. And funnily enough, like it started as just a Unity project for like a first person game. Like it wasn't even a shooter. It was supposed to be like for a couple of days, it was like a stealth action shooter, right? And I just threw mechanics in one by one, like completely, very much like piecemeal, right? I don't know what this game is. I'm just gonna, give this character a gun. Then I'm gonna give this character the ability to jump. And I wanted enemies that, fire back at you. So I just like threw some assets together, got the simple mechanics going, bullets flying around. And I think Lovely Planet was born, I think, the day when I settled on the art style. And
Right.
I was watching all these like crazy Japanese pop music videos at the time because I was like obsessed. And I had my prototype of like a really silly shooter on one side of my screen, and on the other tab on YouTube, I've got this like crazy like Japanese pop music playing with like colors flying everywhere. And I was just like, uh, there's something we can do here. You know what I mean? And that's just exactly. And that's just level after level. There's just the mechanics came together,
Hmm.
and that was it. Like 4 or 5 months later, I think Kotaku picked it up,
Right.
and then suddenly like thousands of people were talking about this game called Lovely Planet.
Was that after launch or was before launch?
Oh, it was way before launch. So I started working on the game. I remember I
Oh no.
in May of 2013. Around did I cut? Am I still there?
You're I think you're back.
Okay, so I started working on the project May 2013, and I worked on it till December. I just kept throwing out levels, and like I put videos online, and I made a couple of blog posts about it. And that's when Kotaku picked it up in the middle of December. They
Right.
just made a small article about it, and then suddenly like all these people were talking, and that's when I approached my publisher, and then we worked on it for another 6 months.
Interesting. It's
Mm.
it's so surprising to hear how important the news article was. But I
Oh
mean, then
yeah.
again, considering the landscape today, and like even a pretty great concept on a game and like decent media coverage still doesn't guarantee any level of success like it did back in
It's
the
not.
good old days. um,
Yes,
when like
very much
a
the
single
good old
article
days.
could be enough to really propel you. um,
Hmm.
I what I really appreciate about your design story for Lovely Planet is that it was um, there's that old mantra in design about following the fun, and
Oh
like
yeah.
let's just throw a couple things in here and not like one of the bad habits I've always had when I do games is that it's like, here's this grand vision, it's like a 15-ton weight on your head, and like you
Right.
can't you can't maneuver, you can't
Hmm.
pivot, you can't let that idea of
Yeah.
J-pop aesthetic coming into the game. um,
Hmm.
and so that's something I really appreciate. And it's we've been trying to do a little bit more of that with our game jams, which we have another one coming up on September 6th. If you guys aren't interested in the chat, I'll drop that right now and you can pop in. But what is Flexi says, the stark contrast in themes and mechanics is such a brilliant idea. LMAO. Yes, I agree. But that comes from that fluidity and being open, I guess, in your process. Um,
Hmm.
is that something that was it's something that you're able to do in the first game, right?
Yeah.
You have this openness and freedom, but
Hmm.
then you've now got a defined aesthetic. The
Right.
mechanics are relatively defined. Um,
Hmm.
how did that process change when you went on to, I was going to say Lovely Planet 2, but I mean, we can talk about the four games in this series, actually, arcade and
Right.
super as well.
Yep.
How did that fluidity or freedom change between the games?
Sure. Sure. I think outside of the aesthetic, like here's what I want to say. Outside of the aesthetic, I think it was the process was very much the same, right? It was just the aesthetic that was set,
Hmm.
because between Lovely Planet 2 and Lovely Planet 1, there was Lovely Planet Arcade and Super Lovely Planet. And for the people who don't know about those games, Lovely Planet 1 is like a freeform first-person shooter, whereas Lovely Planet Arcade is more like Doom-esque, like no y-axis. You can only move on a plane, and Super Lovely Planet is a third-person platformer. You know what I mean? So like they're completely different games. They do borrow the aesthetic, they borrow the same world, but in terms of the mechanics of the game, they were built ground up every time. And I did that because I wanted to do something different, something new. The what I want to say about the iteration process, like that's basically been my like design philosophy. It's just been like, you go in with zero weight, right? That's what you said. Like, you have that like ton of weight, because I don't know how people do it, man. Like, I don't have like the grand design philosophy in my head. That's, oh my God, I've made it all up in my head. This game is gonna be great, and I want to just put it on the computer and it's gonna be brilliant. I'm not that smart, man. I need to play with it. I need to play with the game while I'm making it, right? And that's basically, I think, all the games that I worked on, they very much work the same way.
Right. I don't think it's being smart that brings that weight. I think it's having a big ego that brings that weight, right? Like everybody's got,
Okay.
I mean, at some point in time, you've had like that shower thought where it's like all of a sudden this clever game idea comes to you, and then, if you just like automatically assume it's the greatest thing in the world, you're going to sit on that for a while, and it's going to grow until you can't move it anymore.
Yeah.
um, I think the
Mhm.
egoless design philosophy, where it's just like, okay, I'm going to start with this empty box and like, put one or two things
Mhm.
in and see, oh no, this one can go, this one can stay. That stuff,
Right.
that I see more better games coming out of that process than there are genuine creative geniuses in the world. I'm starting to become of the philosophy that there are no creative geniuses at all. It's a total myth.
Right.
And
All art is just an accident, right?
right.
All great art is just, yeah.
Flexi says this discussion is hurting my soul. Literally describing my creative process. I've seen Flexi. There's no way that man has a grand design. he's a he's a
So
he's
here's what I see, right? In AAA, or even if like you're working with a lot of people, if you're working like a studio or something,
hmm,
like you need to have like some kind of like an outline of what you're making, right?
right,
Like that ability to like go in with zero weight and come up about like with the game on the go. That's something I guess you can only do if you're a certain size, or if you have a certain
right,
team dynamic, or if you're making the game by yourself. That's why like it's always worked for me that way, because I can actually do it. Like I don't have to like go and get a new idea signed off, or anything like that. I wing it, right?
right.
If something works, that's great. I'll put it in. If it doesn't, I'll throw it out. So that's why I said, like, like if your idea is coming from like a grand design, and like you just put it on the computer and it works, man, like if you can do it, that's great. I can't. Like I've never been able to pull that off. That process has only slowed me down.
Right. I mean that process in big AAA studios. I mean that comes out of like you literally can't have people being, I guess, freely creative in a situation where
Hmm.
every idea requires like 40 other people to also do something contributing to it, right? I mean that's one of the best
Right.
parts about being, an indie. And I mean like, so did you work with anybody on the first Lovely Planet at all, or have you ever had contributors to the projects, or has it always just been you?
So for the first 6 months it was all me, and then after that, the music and some of
Music.
the sound effects, I had Callum Bowen, my composer, like make the music for the game, which was amazing. Yeah. But
The
outside of the music, it's all me.
yeah, so having that level of like control over a project, or like um not to applaud you too much, but that multiplicity of talents, right? To be able to do design, mechanic, coding,
Hmm.
testing, art,
Yeah.
level design,
Uh,
everything all at once is what lets you,
yeah.
follow that kind of game design.
Mm-hmm.
I think you can achieve it in AAA, but like you have to like have already worked for like 500 years, um, being and then just be
Right.
given a blank check for your project where you're allowed to like get a design
Yeah.
going on your own.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, um, so what were we talking about? The iterative process between the games, and we covered
Mm-hmm.
Super and Arcade a little bit, but um, I want to hear a little bit about the process designing the additional new mechanics in two.
Okay.
Particularly, like I got the big wow moment when we got to the teleporting. That was
Mm-hmm.
like not just fun, but it was cool. Like
Right.
it felt
Yeah.
cool doing
I
the
was going for
teleport.
that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, where? So how did you start on two? Given that you had a base work for one.
Yeah. Uh, so moving from Lovely Planet 1 to Arcade to Super Lovely Planet, which were like totally different games, I wanted to go in. Now that I'm slapping the two at the end of my game, right? I wanted to be like, okay, I'm gonna do a sequel. I'm gonna make the next version of the same game. And what I saw in Lovely Planet was, like a set of mechanics. I saw like a very difficult game. I saw, a game that pushes you to like, perfect your time and this and that. I wanted to keep all of that, right? I don't want to change the fundamentals of like what made that game click. Uh, and I saw like a bunch of mechanics in that game that weren't really fleshed out, like that telemechanic. None of that was in Lovely Planet One. Like in the last world in the mountains, like you
You
you hit a
cut out
guy
a bit
and
there.
you click.
You cut out a bit
Where
there.
did I cut off?
You said the mechanic was in Lovely Planet One.
Right. So in Lovely Planet One, if you go to the mountain stage, there's these teleporter guys, like where you shoot them and you snap into their place. It was like super fast and like super clicky. uh, I was like, okay, I'm gonna take that same mechanic, but I'm gonna make it like a little bit more like easy to get into. You know
Right.
what I mean? The teleporter that you see in Lovely Planet 2, it was already there in Lovely Planet 1. It just got cut, right? It was already there. I was just like, of all the mechanics that I tried out that didn't work, how like can I polish some of them out and like put them in the next game? And what I was going for was just to make it like a little bit more approachable, because I think Lovely Planet 1 was a little bit too difficult. So I wanted to make, another game where it's the same game, but people can like ease into, the difficult aspects of the game.
Right. And did that came? But that I mean, like, if it didn't mechanically change, does that all come through level design, or how do you ease people into it?
Um, there were a lot of mechanics in Lovely Planet One that were just they were abrupt, right? It would just it would slap those mechanics on your face. You would fail 100 times, and then finally you will teach yourself, how to like navigate, this new challenge that you've got. And I think the mechanics really don't make that much of a difference. Like it's just like, you know the process is still the same. You go into a new level, you see, these new traps and these new enemies and these new things that are going around you, and you fail a couple of times, and then it clicks and you get it right. I think Lovely Planet 2, all Lovely Planet 2 wanted to do was to make that process a little bit less painful.
Right.
And like if you want to go into that, I guess that took a little bit away from the charm of what, Lovely Planet 1 was doing, where it was just so difficult. And I think that's where like people got some of the fun,
Right.
which was missing in Lovely Planet 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is weird because like I've definitely had the experience of how can I phrase this without getting in any trouble? Um I've definitely had conversations with people in charge of selling games
Okay.
that various people across the industry who have suggested that it is better to make um, easier games, simpler games, and I mean you can see in the AAA world, this philosophy is like a
Yeah.
bible to them, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you tell the
Yeah.
player right up on screen, push A now, or you'll die, and then they, even if they don't
Right.
push it, you still give them a couple extra seconds, right? Like
Right.
that's really well believed. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
but but then I see games like I had a couple weeks back. We had the developers of Post Void here. That game is
Oh yeah,
insanely difficult, and I
I saw
love it.
that.
I
Hmm.
love
I
that
love that
game.
game. Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and like Devil Daggers, another insanely hard game. People really
Yep.
appreciate a difficult
Hmm.
challenge. So where is this
Yeah.
breakdown happening? Do you think, as somebody who has made who has tried to make a more accessible version of an insanely difficult game?
Right. I mean, I think yeah, it all makes sense. I think it's not fair to generalize that people like difficult games. I think there are some people who
Right,
like difficult
right,
games,
right, right,
right?
right.
Like I think if like the audience that AAA is targeting is probably like so huge that they need to like include everyone, right? They need to include the people who just want to have a fun time. They also want to include the people who like difficult games, but they can get into this whatever buff dude with axe game, whatever, right? uh, for me, like working obviously on it was not a AAA game. I'm not working with like I don't know a target audience of 10 million different people, right? It's a niche game where some people found like they found that they really enjoyed this one kind of really difficult first person shooter. uh, I think going from Lovely Planet 1 to 2, making a simpler version of the first game, or easier to get into, right? Maybe I think that alienated the people who were really excited to see more of Lovely Planet 1. You know what I mean? Like they wanted a hard first person shooter. And what they got with Lovely Planet 2, I guess, was not that to some extent, right?
It wasn't. It
World
was.
6
Sorry, you
in
cut
Lovely
out. It
Planet 2
wasn't.
is
It wasn't that
insane.
designed to some extent. Yeah. Okay. Oh, you cut out again. You said it wasn't that designed
Right.
to
So
some
that's what.
extent.
Yeah. So what I meant to say was that Lovely Planet 2, I think, alienated the player base of Lovely Planet 1 to some extent because they were expecting a shooter that was equally difficult.
Right, and they didn't have that same um, the same level of challenge. Um,
Right. Right.
uh, but I mean, so like my games, your first
Hmm.
one is far more popular than your second one. I
Yeah.
also
I
share
know.
this. I have this in common with you. Uh, but I also, I mean, I had a like the hardcore fans of Always Sometimes Monsters had a revulsion to the new game. Um,
Oh.
there was some like right around launch we had a lot of negativity. I think we came out of the gate with a mostly negative review on Steam, which has slowly
Oh.
been climbing back up as people start to understand it a little better and like
Hmm.
new updates and that kind of thing. But um, it's very hard to like mostly because I think a lot of people expected the first game to be as depressed or the second game to be as depressing as the first one, and I went on like a whole different road. Um,
Hmm.
what? But I expected more new people to come in.
Hmm. Right.
Was that similar for you? Did you feel like making these adjustments to the game would draw in new players?
Yes. Because like I'm making it more approachable. In my head, I was like, if it's more approachable, people can, play the game more, right? Like if
Right.
I had some statistics for Lovely Planet 1, most people just dropped off after World 2,
Right.
right? They were just like, this is insane, right? And they would just leave. And I don't know if that's a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like you get only a certain chunk of the game because you weren't good enough or you didn't have the drive to like, you know, uh, play through it or whatever. Like you didn't have the time. There could be many reasons why people didn't go, and experience the whole game. But Lovely Planet 2 lets you do that. It's actually so much easier that you can actually just sit through like World 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 without actually, seeing something as difficult as the World 3 or World 4 in Lovely Planet 1.
Right. Until you get to
But
the
I don't know if
abyss.
I. Oh, of course, the Abyss is just like. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get back at you guys. You think my game is too easy. Um, I don't know what that did though. Like I was obviously wanting it to be, more approachable for more people for more for different players who are not looking for, say, a really difficult first person shooter. Honestly, like that's something I want to talk to you about. Like I don't think I was able to like achieve that, right, by making the game more approachable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the solution to making a sequel to a difficult game, right?
Yeah.
Probably I shouldn't have done that. I don't
Well,
know.
it's also confusing because it's like your games are so mechanically driven
Mm-hmm.
that it's never the situation where someone's like, "Oh man, I gotta play the first one though because I don't know the
Mm-hmm.
story." Right? Like
Right.
at least I've got a bit of that excuse to back up on, and I've seen sales to match that, right? Where we
Okay.
launch the new game and the first game starts selling a lot better. Um
Right.
but it's I guess it's that, but I mean, see, like here's where I'm maybe gonna start disagreeing with you about your own assessment of your game, because I'm looking at
Please.
these reviews, and
Mm-hmm.
if you had quote unquote betrayed your
Mm-hmm.
hardcore fan base who were
Mm-hmm.
expecting a wildly difficult game, I think you would have had
Mm-hmm.
a lot more negative reviews.
True. I would have had more of those,
Right?
definitely.
You've got four
Right.
total.
Yeah. So I had more negative reviews initially during launch because like there were a bunch of bugs.
But those go
Those
away.
like
Those go away if you
yeah,
fix them.
those go away. Yeah, I fixed the bugs. Those went away. But yeah, I think I have my assessment of the game because like I'm being hard on myself, and I also have like access to the Lovely Planet speedrunning Discord where people have opinions about the game, I guess. And
Yeah, no,
maybe I
there's
think I'm
literally
basing more of my like assessment on that.
there's literally only one review here that is actually referencing the first game. One negative review that's referencing the first game. And I mean,
Hmm.
I would wager that this person does feel what we've been communicating. Um
Hmm.
they say everything is worse, but I think it's one of those things where they don't know where to like actually point the finger of blame. But it's one review,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
this
Right.
is this is a greater
True.
issue where um, I'm starting to think you may not have had a lot of the LP1 players even transition.
Sure. I mean, that is a possibility, and that is a problem too, right? Because you would expect that the fans of the first game would drive the second game almost. Like, if people are playing more of it, then more people would see it, and more people will buy it, and the numbers would go up, which didn't happen. So I assume that, okay, maybe the fans weren't betrayed. They were just like, whatever, we're not getting into this. It's not like really just like oh my God, what have you done? It's more of like all right, I see your next game. I'm gonna stick with the first one.
Right. The best possible answer here is that they were all so relieved to have finished the first one. They had gone through the gauntlet that they were too
Hmm.
afraid to start a new one, no matter how much easier you
Probably.
had made it
Yeah.
for them. This is the
Yeah.
only acceptable answer.
Yeah.
Um,
Not doing that again. No.
no, one
Not
time
putting
for the
ourselves
ringer
through
was
this.
enough. Um,
Yeah.
but it's a very very interesting case study, and man, game journalists can't play good. You got way unfair by the game journalists compared to the actual, like, Steam reviews are brutal, but like it's what I think it skews better to hard games. But comparatively, I don't know. It's like this game is more intense than Doom and Quake. Yes, it is. um,
You're going on Lovely Planet 2 reviews or is this Lovely
no,
Planet 1?
first one. No, I'm on the
The
first
first
one.
one. Oh yeah, there
Yeah.
are lots of reviews there. I think what we need to talk about is Steam.
About Steam. So well, okay, we'll get to Steam because I'm sure it is
Mhm.
partially related to this topic. But you
Right.
have abandoned Post. You are not an indie game developer anymore. You say
Yeah.
you have declared yourself. You threw in the towel, called it quits, gave up.
Okay, that's. Oh no, no, stop. That hurts. Oh man, I don't know. I don't know. Right now,
You're
I
not
think
making any game now. Was that true?
right now I'm not. Yes, it's true. I plead guilty.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not working on a game right now.
This is
I
okay.
did like make.
It's
No,
okay.
Justin, it's not. It hurts on the inside. It's just against the rules, man.
Is
It's
it?
never been this way. I've been making games since forever, man. Like ever since I saw my Sega Genesis. I was I was tiny, dude, and I was just like that. I'm pointing at the screen. I'm like, I want to make video games, right? And everyone has like ideas, like I want to be an astronaut, and you
Right.
know how kids are, right? But I stuck to it. I was just like, this is it. I want to make video games, right? And I just feel like I've done so much of it that it's just like I don't know what I'm feeling right now. It's like burnout, right? Just like okay, I need a break. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. And have I, you know, have I quit? Like I don't know. Like it's not fair to like say that I'm not gonna like maybe come back one day. I don't know. I just like to think that I'm going through a different phase right now. I'm just gonna lay off the keyboard for a little bit and just take a breather, go smell the roses or something.
Okay.
And when the stars align, hey, maybe I'll come back and make another video game.
Okay. So, but like, when did this break start, and what? Why did it start?
Interesting. That's a tough question. It's a good question. I think I think ever since Lovely Planet 1 came out, like my enthusiasm has been slowly declining, like very slowly, very
Mm-hmm.
slowly. It's been 6 years, right? I think like Lovely Planet 1 was like, shit, I did it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
that's a
Like
big rush.
when you have that kid who's like, I'm gonna make a video game and this and that, and I put that game out, and 3 days later, PewDiePie is playing it on his channel, and I'm just like I'm talking to that version of myself who wanted to make video games, and like in my head, and I'm like, you did it. And I'm like, yeah, I did. Now what?
Yeah.
Right? It was actually like that. It was like, now what? And I was just like, yeah, of course, I make video games. I'm gonna do it again. And I think like the last 6 years has just been like, I don't know anymore, man. I feel lost. Honestly, like I don't know. Like it's that passion that I had, like going into like working on a game. It was on its all-time high before Lovely Planet came out.
Right.
Like I was just like 100% focused. Nothing mattered. I didn't give a shit about anything else. It was just wake up, roll off your bed, work on the game because that's you, that's life, that's just what you understand. There's nothing else, right?
Yep.
And that I think that laser focus, it's very difficult to like get that now. Now I have a job, I have to like pay rent and this and that, and it's just not in the same place anymore. So I guess like I have distractions, I have other things that I need to sort out, things that really didn't matter to me before. So I think like it's just I think those two things are like fighting against each other. I think there's still that guy in me who wants to like just sit down and make some cool ass video games, but there's other things that I need to sort out before.
Yeah. I can completely understand, and I connect with that. Um, I mean, I was going through that experience at the same time as you. Like,
Yeah,
when
I can imagine.
I totally get it. Like, because for me, it felt like this is your chance, right? And
Mhm.
you achieved it, and it's like, okay, so do I need another one, or what?
Right. What do you do now? Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think that's like something we have to like learn to grow with, and like you still, like you say, you still want to make games, right? You've got, how often do you find yourself being like, oh, that would be a cool idea, or like, wouldn't that be
All the time, like all the time, right? Like I'm still dreaming with like game ideas, right?
right?
I can still see like shapes moving on a screen and like cool mechanics that I think will be awesome. I'm very aesthetic when it comes to ideas. Like I don't know about the mechanics or this or that. I just know like, oh, it's gonna be like this, it's gonna feel like this, it's gonna play like that. I still do that all the time. But I think that guy, like when I tell you that I want to go back to making video games, I don't know what it is, man. Maybe it's just like my desperate attempt at like holding on to like that one thing that, my identity is tied to it. So I'm just like, oh, I make video games. Of course, that's just how it's been since forever. So if somebody asks me if I want to make games, I'll be like, of course, yes, that's what I do. I'm just taking a break. I
Right.
don't know what it is, man. Yeah.
But you don't feel like do you ever feel that pull towards the keyboard when those ideas strike, where you're like, maybe and I'll
Oh
just a
yeah.
little bit. And what
Oh
stops
yeah.
you?
Let me share my screen. I have ideas, like I have things that I've prototyped out
So
in the
then
last year.
what do you mean you
Okay.
quit? It
Ever
still sounds like it's still working.
I did. No, I'm not working because like I work on the idea for like 3 days and then I'm just like, I have to go to work. I've got a girlfriend now. I've got to, all these. I've got to work out. That's another thing. Like when I was making Lovely Planet, like it was just, dude, you sacrifice so many things you don't even
Yep.
realize it, right? You don't even realize the sacrifices that you're making. Like leading up to Lovely Planet, like I gave up a lot of things. Like I did not see my friends. I didn't, do anything physical. Like your health becomes a thing that you start like thinking about. So like all those things, right? Like now, I don't know. Am I making games? Like yeah, I prototype like a shooter because that's what I do, right? I make shooters and that's it. Like I'm looking at it, it's all right. Do I have the will and the drive and the time to take it somewhere? Not right now. Maybe in the future.
When do you know when that future comes though? Like that day could be a week from now, and how would you know it's the day?
Or man, I don't know. Like circumstances, right? Like now I'm in a foreign country. I have a job. I have responsibilities, right? Tomorrow, for whatever reason, maybe I don't, right? Maybe I'm back to where I was when I was working on Lovely Planet 1, where I was just like sitting at home at my parents' house. I don't have rent to pay anymore. I don't have responsibilities or
Are you
friends.
are you are
All
you
those
are you inviting
distractions.
catastrophe to get you back to making games? Is that what's happening? You need some truly
Look, man, I want you to talk me into it,
I
right? Like, talk
I
me back into it because it was a good life. I'll tell you that.
so let me tell you this then. I don't think that is that change day. I don't think that happens. I don't think it comes. It's
Oh,
not real. it's 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 a
okay.
form of procrastination. Believing that your life
Oh,
or your circumstance needs to be in a specific order in order to accomplish something is
mm-hmm,
like the basics
mm-hmm,
of procrastination. And believing
mm-hmm,
that you need to sacrifice everything completely like we did the first time in order
mm-hmm,
to get there again
mm-hmm.
forgets the lessons we learned along the way, and like how possible it is to take steps rather than like just running full fucking speed all the time, right? We don't need
It's
to
the only
do
way I know
that.
how to do it.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
if you know how to run, you know how to walk, right? And
So
like,
what are you like? What are you telling me? Like I can maintain the same, life and just I don't know, baby steps my way to a game, right? Moonlight or whatever, right?
smaller
Or
games, yeah, smaller games, 2-3 hours a day, not even, maybe 2-3 hours every other day, whatever the schedule has to be, right?
mm-hmm.
Like you you're not going to be able to do it like you did the first time. I can't do it that way anymore, even though I have literally no other responsibilities than making games. That's the thing. There's the proof. There's the fucking proof. I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to do anything other than make games, and I can't do it like we did the first time. I
Right, I guess.
I have my games are keeping me self-sufficient, right? I don't have to go do a
Mm-hmm.
work. I'm married now, so I don't have to worry about the girlfriend thing. I have
Mm-hmm.
everything in order to give me all the time I can to make games, and I
Right.
still don't. I'm too old. We got older.
What do you mean you're too old?
We slowed down. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we've got 5 years later. We're just not as hardcore. And
Young
that's
and
okay.
athletic and full of energy anymore.
That's just okay,
Yeah.
right?
This
So
is the way things are, I guess.
make a game like an old man.
Oh man, that's something I'll have to like figure out. Like I haven't really thought about that. Like I like in my head, it's I think with most of the things that I do in my life, and I don't mean to make this about myself, but it's all or nothing, man. Like you don't half-ass anything. You want to do
Right.
something, you give it your 100%, or you don't do it at all. Like that's how like it's been in my head for me. Like that's my philosophy with anything really. Like if you want to do it, you give it your 100%, or you just don't do it at all.
Right.
And I guess that doesn't really work out in the long run. Like maybe you have to be a little bit more of like a mature adult or whatever, and like create a balance, the whole yin yang thing, whatever. Like I'll have to figure that out. I'll have to like
But
fundamentally
okay,
change the way I think about things.
so that grand accomplishment that we achieved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
that was us. Look, like there's this whole big pie, and we're looking at one slice and being like, "Man, I can get
Oh yeah,
one slice of the pie." Now you can
that
feel,
was such a high, dude. It was like
but it's
laser
one,
focused.
but that's only because we were ignorant, right? We
I
didn't
agree.
realize
I
how
completely.
many aspects of life there are
Mm-hmm.
to do that well, right?
Right.
Like now the day I don't know if there is a day that comes this way, but to feel I've got my physical at the same level that I've got my game making. I've got my
Mm-hmm.
relationships at the same level. I've got my house and financial. I've got all of the aspects of my life at that level.
Mm-hmm.
That's that you go 100% into that whole thing, and
Right.
you can do it all, I think. But it's that's way harder. Like it's easy to do what we did in 2014 comparatively,
It is.
um and
Oh yeah.
it takes
I
longer and it takes
completely
more
agree.
focus.
What I'm trying to tell you is, I don't know how to do that whole thing that you just described, right?
I don't know
It's
either.
so alien to me. Like, I guess it'll just, yeah, I'll just figure it out in time, I guess. Like, just have to wait it out. I don't know. I still feel like a kid almost when it comes to like wanting to make a game. I just want to give it my 100% and just, 'cause that's how I've always done it.
Right.
But I see what you mean, man. Like, I guess you just have to like, I guess you have to do it differently,
Yeah,
and you have to like figure out a way.
it's bits of it,
Hmm.
but I mean,
Make a
like,
balance.
I don't want to lose that game making thing in the rest of it, right? Like I'm really scared of.
Man, same here. Same here. I'll tell you that. Like I don't know how long you've been making video games, but I started like super, super fucking young. Like it's always like for me it's that was it, man. That was just nothing else. It was just video games. Like
Right.
people around me were like, figuring out, how like they were going out, they were playing, they were doing the whole adolescence thing, learning how to like be like a member of society, right? And figuring out relationships and whatever you do in your teens, and then people started going out and drinking and like having a life. Dude, I was just making my game. You know what I mean? Like all that time, I was just working on my game, and coming out of it, like coming out of that like laser focus, it's scary, dude. It's scary. Like that thing that defined you, that thing that made you, you were it and it was you. Like it was just, there was nothing else, right? Coming out of that and like holding on to it, hoping that it just doesn't like slip away. Scary doesn't even begin to describe that feeling.
There's one other thing that we share, and that is we spent 6 years each locked in the exact same game universes. We never evolved off of our first game. Right? Like
Yeah, I
we
agree.
made bigger, better versions of them, and I think you wouldn't.
Hmm.
I think we wouldn't have feel that way so much, um, if you had broken off and made something different. Um,
True.
like these, I only started doing it recently, like after launch. Actually, not even just after launch.
Hmm.
I'm so committed to Sam that it was like even after launch, I'm still making updates for this game because it's like I'm never escaping that part of me.
Do you feel that? Sorry to cut you off.
No, go on.
Do you feel that you were with sometimes always monsters? Do you think that you were, I don't know, playing it safe? Like, oh, of course, here's a successful game. I'll just make another version of it.
Um, I believed it needed to be made
Okay.
because the first one is like one half of the whole, and then the second one is the other half. And like, I really genuinely believe that because they both embody such different
Okay.
emotions and everything. Um,
Hmm.
I definitely felt throughout the process that we had a good, like, I probably would have not taken as much risk. I wouldn't have taken so long with the game if we didn't have that first game, being like, oh, there's going to be, X number of people interested, right? I think that is a bad mindset to be in.
Mm.
But the point I was trying to get to is that I only in the past couple months, like we did a game jam, and like
Hmm.
that game jam turned into a game we released today. And it is like nothing like I would have ever made, and I didn't even design.
Right.
Like it wasn't my design really. It was my wife's
Hmm.
idea. Like Jane led the thing, and I just like, okay, this
Hmm.
is what I do now. All right, and it's wildly different, and I had so much fun doing it. In a
Right.
way that I like. I definitely have had fun making Sometimes Always Monsters, but it's a very different sort of fun when it's like, it's just whatever. Yeah, let's go, let's do it. Um, and I feel very
Yeah,
liberated.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Um, and I kind of wish I had done more of that earlier. Um,
Okay.
so maybe part of getting you back on the horse is a different horse.
Yeah, it's something I think about a lot. Like that's why I asked you, like, if like I asked you if like you made a sequel because it was like a safer option or something like that. Because I think even though like if you had asked me like a couple of years back, I wouldn't have admitted to it. But I feel like all the games that I made, I mean, I didn't make a sequel straight up. I made two very different games,
Right,
right? But they borrowed the aesthetic, they borrowed the name.
right,
And was that a good idea? We can get into that. Probably not. But for me, it was just like I want to make a new game with different mechanics, with a different rule set, with everything that like is brand new. But I'm just gonna borrow this like little art style that I've got from previous game because I like it, right? And I don't want to reinvent the wheel. It's felt like it was actually genuinely fun to do that. Three times over, not so much. You know
right,
what I mean? Like I think it would have been a lot more exciting if I was working on something brand new like Lovely Planet was when it came out,
right,
when I was working on it, when people were talking about it, when people were writing about it, when they were like, oh, what is this like shooter game that's also cute, right? Whatever that other game is, like that never happened.
yeah,
Maybe it's
yet,
maybe
not
if I had
yet.
to get back into it. Not yet. I like it. I'm gonna curb our language, make it sound like we're gonna actually do it. Yes. Yeah,
The,
I mean, I think if I get back to games now, like I've not played games in 2 years. I've
not
just not
played games
touched.
in 2 years.
I've not played a video game in 2 years, man. Can you believe that?
I
Is that
can.
believable? Not even mobile games.
Well, I mean, that should be a given. The the that kind of happened to me throughout the development of Sam. Like, I got a lot of like creator's guilt, and also wanted to avoid contamination. So I just didn't play games while I was working, and I have dramatically changed that since launch.
Okay.
I've got games as part of my like daily ritual now.
Okay.
Not never to the extent where like I had when before, um,
Right.
but like an hour or two. It's
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
just to check out some weird indie game or like you know
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and I
That's
think it's healthy.
necessary. Yeah.
The
That's another thing
the
that
the
I
chat is
feel.
inviting you to come join our game jam.
Oh, game jam time. That's been a while also. Yeah, I could do that. I could do that. Whip
Uh,
up my old build of Unity and make a video game. Yeah, that's another thing that kind of keeps me from jumping back in. I feel like if I do that, like whatever I make is just gonna be like outsider art at this point because I'm so out of touch with what works, what people want, you know, and all of those things. Like where's the game industry at right now?
who cares? You
Dude,
know
I
if
don't
something
know.
sucks. Like that's when
But like, okay, have you dealt with this? Like, your idea of what sucks and what's awesome is so out of line. It's so
yes.
out there compared to what other people think, right? And I think that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. Like you have a different taste. That means that you'll hit on that one thing that nobody else is thinking about, right?
Mhm.
That's what I think to myself also. Like, oh, let's make a really tough first-person shooter game, and it's all pink and green and colorful. Who would have thought of that, right? Who would have thought of that? Like, exactly, because like when you think of first-person shooter, you think of military
Murder.
dudes
Yes.
and blood and like and all the cussing and this and that. So I guess like that's a good thing. Like not being in tune with what people like, because dude, another reason why I don't play games is just because they're not exciting to me anymore. Like the next AAA game that comes out, it was many years ago where I was just like, oh man, I can't wait for that game to
Right.
come out, and I would be like talking on forums and like that was my life, right? Like waiting for the next video to drop and this and that. All that excitement, it's gone now. It's I don't. I'm like, yeah, here's another whatever sequel, cash grab, remaster,
Right. Yeah. Of
a
course.
game
None
that
of
tells me what
that.
to do.
Nobody get. None. I don't think. I think very few people in the chat get excited for that too. Like this
Okay.
group, this community has gone to show me that like there's occasionally like one or two exciting games that they get hyped for, but like overall, I think we all love the
Okay.
surprise of like here's just something we did not expect to enjoy, and it's a wave of happiness. Um,
Hmm.
it's good. It doesn't like being an outsider in art makes unique art. If we're not looking for mass critical commercial success, then it also doesn't
Hmm.
matter whether or not that art is in good taste or not.
Hmm.
If we're making games for each other as a community and for
Hmm.
ourselves to enjoy, then
Hmm.
they are satisfying. The process of creation is
Hmm.
satisfying, and we end up with
Hmm.
satisfying projects.
Hmm.
I like to tell people when they start making things, don't try and make it for everybody. Like pick a literal person in your life and be like, if I can get this person
Yeah.
to really enjoy it, then
Hmm.
I win, right?
I know what you mean. This is this touches on another thing that I think about when I'm working on a next game, right? On an idea in my head, I'm just like, is it gonna bring in the Benjamins? You know what I mean? That's why I'm thinking about that. Like, that's why I'm thinking about like, is this something people want to play? Would this be something that people be excited about? Maybe I
Right.
should not give a shit about that and just do what I want to do and just keep, making games that I'm excited about or one other person is excited about.
I mean, that's the beauty of moonlighting as a developer, right? You kind of don't have to worry about the money. Like, yeah, it would be nice if all of a sudden it made Minecraft dollars and then we don't have to work anymore. But
Hmm.
I mean, you've got that security, right? Where you can get
Yeah.
experimental, you can do this for fun, you can enjoy the
Hmm.
process, and
Yeah.
forget about how much money it makes. I have a harder time doing that, but I'm trying to because I literally
Hmm.
have to make games make money in order to keep doing it at the level I'm doing it. But um,
Hmm.
I mean, I'm only like I'm not even 6 months into this new phase of my life or whatever, and it's going okay. Just following that mantra of make things that will make other people around me and have fun and have a laugh and like have a good time or get interested or whatever. Um, and I think it's something I really want to keep going, and I think it might be the answer for this stage of life. I don't know. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I see that with when I was working on Lovely Planet, at least for like before it got coverage. I think to myself, like, why was I making that game? Why did I care about it? What like drove me to like get up and work on it?
Right.
It's probably because just I felt that that's the only thing I want to do. I looked at it and I was like, this is cool. This is gonna be a fun game, and that was it. Full stop. You know what I mean? It had none of the strings attached to it.
Right.
Oh, it's gonna make money. It's gonna be commercial. Blah blah blah.
I want to talk about the games that you made before it. Then, I I had the
Oh yeah.
fortunate slash unfortunate situation of ASM was my first game. It was heavily commercial, and
Hmm.
like I've never been able to disassociate games and money. But before
Hmm.
Lovely Planet, you say you made
Hmm.
games. Who did you make them for? What were they like? Why did you do it?
See, I've not even thought about that. I've not even thought about why I made those games because I just knew. I just knew that that's what I have to do. There was nothing else in my life telling me that otherwise, right? My parents were supportive. My friends were like, "This is cool. What you're doing," and it was a hit, man. How do I even describe it? Like it was sitting in front of that computer, getting those images to move, getting that car to like slide around on the screen, and like bullets flying everywhere. It was a high. Like I could program, I could do shitty art, I could like anything that was in my head, any idea that I had. The code would practically like drip off the tips of my fingers, right? And I could see that thing taking shape in front of me. That's power, man. Like, and if you give that to a kid, they're gonna go bonkers with that. You know what I mean? If you want the answer to the question why I made games, it's because it was that. It's that.
Right.
So it feels good. You know what I mean?
You enjoyed the
And I made.
process.
Oh yeah, enjoyed definitely. It was. I think I was on like under the influence of like some power thing, like if you want to put it like that. You know what I
Right.
mean? Yeah, a lot of games. I made a lot of games because I started like very early.
So
I started making games so early that I wanted to spell my name with the names of the games. So if you like line up the names of all the games, it will say my name.
I see.
Stupid.
No, it's cool. I mean,
Yes. Yes.
how far did you
Yeah.
get? How far did you get?
VIDH. That's it. That's it. That's how
So
far
you
I
got at
got.
least three more to
And I
do,
made Lovely
man.
Planet. Yeah, let's get back to it. For that reason, I'll jump back into prototyping.
That's a good reason. Um, who was playing these games?
Um, no one.
No one.
No, nobody played those games.
Zero
Nobody
people.
played those
You
because
never
they
showed
were
a friend.
they were. Yeah, I mean,
There are
friends would
people.
come over and I would show them like prototypes of the game because they were never finished. Like I learned the hard way how to finish a game, right? Like lots of people will tell you like if you want to be an indie developer, you have to like learn how to finish a game, right?
Hmm.
I would work for years like on this like 3D car simulator and like perfecting the smoke particles, and it's been 2 years. I'm in high school because time is warped during that time anyway. So I just like I just send screenshots to people and this and that. So like in terms of like actual players, like I don't think I ever put it out on the internet and had people like give me feedback. That's the thing, right? When you say like players, I think that happened with Lovely Planet.
Interesting. And that players changed your connection with games,
Oh, man, that's an interesting way to look at it.
right? Because
Like, do you think the process was more intimate before, and
yeah, it
then it
was you
just
and the machine, and
oh
then
yes,
then it's you
and
and the
then
machine and 15,000 other people, right? Like,
you're blowing my mind right now. I never saw it like that. Did the players like just dilute the process, the hit that I was getting out of it,
they're
and
vampires, man.
shit, dude, they're sucking the energy out of me. Fuck. I never saw it like that. God damn it.
Goddamn players.
That's interesting. I'll tell you that's food for thought for me. I'm gonna write that one down.
Okay,
All right.
very good.
I don't know. Did you feel that way with ASM?
I never had games before that.
Oh,
I mean, I like
that.
my history was I had my Sega Genesis. I saw games. I said, God, I want to make games. And then everybody older than me smacked me in the back of the head and said, that's not a real job, you
Oh,
idiot. And then
right.
I'm like, all right, I guess I'll do other stuff. And then and then I spend the next like 15 years of my life like failing at like everything I try, really, and like not really caring and not having the passion um to like really commit to it until I eventually go crazy, become a vagabond, and then kind of give up into games, and then I got an
That's
opportunity
interesting.
to like actually go back to that childhood desire, and it worked out. And now I'm like really scared to let that go. I definitely throughout Sometimes Always Monsters, I definitely felt the player vampire. Um,
Okay.
when I'm like I've decided to take a long time with this game, and like you've got people banging on your forum doors, being like, where is it, where is it, where is it, like that's like I don't like you people, please leave me alone.
Right, right, right.
Or
Mhm.
when you've got people you believing in that there's all these people with expectations and stuff like that it's just like it's like another huge weight. It's like I've already got this 15-ton weight on my head, like please don't put another one on there. Nobody's allowed to sit on it. It's not a chariot. Like
Right.
I'm not here to carry you. And
It's not a chair.
yeah, but since launch, and everybody kind of like threw up their arms and be like, oh, he's not a perfect genius or whatever, right?
Mm.
Like there was a lot of like 6 years of people believing like this game that I'm making is going to be like the greatest thing of all time or something like that. And then finally it comes
Yeah.
out, and it's like
Yeah.
it's a game. It's a good game, but it's not the greatest game of all time, and that's okay with me. Now I've got a small community of people who enjoy the things I make, and like I delight in like making them happy with those things. It's fun. You
Right.
I and thankfully I don't think we're going to get to the 2014 number of players ever again. Like we don't have to worry
I
about
don't
that
like
way.
pessimism in that, man. Like,
It's beautiful.
sure, you don't have. It's amazing. Yeah, it is,
we
and
that
I think it can be achieved probably in a different way, right? Probably like you approach it differently. Probably you do what you're doing now, like you have your community of developer, like people who are like you're making the games for a small group of people, and one day you just put out one of those little jam games or whatever, I don't know,
yeah
maybe Karen Simulator, and suddenly 100,000 people are very interested in playing it.
yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, the beauty of Karen Simulator is that there will be no sequel. Like the meme's gonna die before there's any opportunity for a two.
But you got in at the right time, right?
I think we're a
So,
little late, honestly, but like I mean,
oh yeah,
it's going good. I mean, we'll see. It's been day one. Um,
yeah. I'll check back in on like with you on that
we'll see.
day after
We'll see if I'll still take your calls. It's okay.
when all the streamers are playing it
Yeah,
and it's fucking huge and everyone's talking about it and you're
yeah,
giving interviews and everything and
yeah, yeah,
flying
yeah.
around the place.
Big fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen anymore. Nobody's flying around anymore.
Oh
Um,
yeah, that. I mean, virtually
I mean,
on Zoom,
even
Discord,
even
whatever.
before the virus, nobody's flying around to conventions anymore, really. Um,
Yeah.
Chat wants to know, I guess, how did you manage? How did you feel when you decided to end it? Was there like a concrete point where you're like, I'm done, and how did that feel, if it happened?
So just to like set the timeline here, I made and published my last game, Lovely Planet 2, last year in June.
Yep.
So it's been a year, right, since I've put anything out. And in my head, it's been I just take it. I don't go in with like a grand plan when I make decisions. I'm just like I'm gonna try this out for a while, and I'm just gonna see where that takes me, and I will reassess my situation. So like I wanted to make sure that I finished Lovely Planet 2 and like give it some time. I supported it. I did DLC, and after that, I just I needed a roof over my head, so I got a job. And it's difficult to moonlight. It's not easy. I've not figured it out yet. I'm sure it's possible, but I haven't figured it out yet. And I didn't go into this arrangement like thinking that I'm gonna still be working on video games. That's it. That's what's going on in my head. It's not like I've like taken off my suit or whatever and like throw in the towel or anything like that. In my head, I'm just taking a break. And in my head, I'm just like, I'm just gonna walk away from this whole video game making thing for just a little bit, and maybe I never come back to it. Maybe I do. Maybe I do it in a way different from the way I've done it before. I don't know, right? So I don't like to say that. Oh, here's what I'm doing, and this is what I'm gonna stick to. I don't know. Shit. I don't have it figured out. Does this look like I've got it figured out? I don't know what the hell I'm doing, dude.
Yeah, I think you need an alias.
An alias?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Just release games under a different name.
Under.
Then there's zero association.
Another reason why I don't like want to jump into it is because like, dude, I just want to make edgy stuff that I don't think people are ready for. But we talk about that offline. Like I just like game ideas that I'm just like, whoa, this is gonna be so cool, but you're just gonna get like burned for it and canceled for it, and I'm just like, never mind.
Do it. Just don't use it
under an alias, right?
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Who knows how many games we've released?
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe I'm working on a game. Maybe I've released a game this year.
Yeah.
Maybe it's out there.
There's really only 8 game developers in the world, and we're a quarter of them. We just keep using different names, guys.
Conglomerate is like the Illuminati or something.
Oh man, chat's going big. What are they saying? I'm trying to follow along the chat. Well, it's very hard.
I get that out of people sometimes.
They say they can tell that you want to make something again. They believe that the passion is still in you. They can see the fire in your eyes.
Well, that's good to know. Yes, I'm very passionate. Like, I like creating stuff, man. Like, I like making stuff. I put out some stupid YouTube videos. I write my blog now. Don't read my blog. It's almost like a self-help blog at this point. I just have a lot of stuff that I have going on in my head. Sometimes it's a video game. Sometimes it's like something I just want to say. So I still have like some creative outlet, but nothing like a video game. So yeah, let's see.
I mean, and let's talk realistically. What if you don't come back? How do you feel?
Okay. So for that to happen, there has to be something that scratches that itch. When I say that I want to create something, that I want to make something,
right.
Like I can work a job, I can, do like my responsibilities, and, I can go 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, work on, something like a team is working on. It doesn't scratch that same itch of like creating something that's my own, where I have full creative control. If that feeling that I'm like looking for is replaced by a different process, in that maybe I'm like some senior designer in some studio somewhere, and like I'm making games over there, or I find some other creative outlet that lets me do the same thing, so I don't have to go back to doing this. In that situation, I guess I'll be fine, where I've just like replaced that that thing that I was getting out of making video games with something else, because I can still feel it. Like I still like I'm working, and like I'm still working in games. Like I'm still working in the games industry, really. But it doesn't satisfy that itch of like creating something of like my own. And I always want to keep going back to it. Like this is not a long-term solution. Like working a job, and like keeping a roof over my head, 9 to 5, enjoy throwing some money away on the weekends because you can, and click your Instagram pictures and get those likes, and rinse repeat. You find this girl, you get married, you make kids, and then you've got like to buy a car because everyone else is buying a car, and this and that sounds like a freaking nightmare to me. So I don't think I can. I don't think I'll be going into that right now, at least. Maybe that changes also, right? What's the other like scenario? I don't really know. Like all those. Maybe I'll just
So let's I mean like or you just
run
live
away.
it you live in pain never having a creative outlet again, right?
Oh
Like
man.
that's not going to happen.
Oh man.
You
Dude, see, I want to say that's not gonna happen, but what if it does?
you're going to just live
You
in
know.
agony being like I wish I was creating stuff, but I will not.
Look, I'm not saying that it's not possible that I show up. Maybe I do. Maybe I give in to, these worldly pleasures, right? And all this like social, pressure of like, oh, you gotta, have a job, wear a suit, and like people respect you, that you have friends, because everyone's doing the whole 9 to 5 thing. So you do it with them, right? And,
See.
you know, you
He's
you see what I mean? Like,
he's
dude, it
enjoying
really
that
sucks
corporate
you
life.
in.
He's enjoying it.
It sucks you, dude. I'm in Hong Kong, man. I'm surrounded by bankers. Like, there are bankers everywhere. Everyone's talking about money all the time. Everyone's talking about their cool new Apple Watch and what shoes they've got on, and this and that. And I'm just like, what is going on here? Like, there's no creative people here. There's just people who make money, right? And all of society is structured in a way where it pushes you in that direction. You get a job, that's good. You get a raise, that's good. You post pictures of expensive sushi that you had at an expensive restaurant and you tagged it, that's good. More likes for you. And oh, you've got this, you're seeing a nice girl and like you click pictures with her, that's good. Like society is just pushing you, like you get more positive reinforcement the more you do it the way everyone else is doing it. You can't stick out like a sore thumb. Everyone's just gonna ignore you. So yeah, it's got a pull, I'll tell you that.
Is there any part of getting those thumbs up that you like?
Like, I obviously, like, I feed off of it for now. Is it something that I can like sustain myself on? Right now, I want to say no, not at all. Because I have those moments. It's usually like Sunday evening or sometimes in the middle of the week where I'm just like, what the fuck am I doing? You know what I mean? Where I'm just like, what is like, is this it? Is this just like my week on repeat? Like I'm in like one of those like time loop video games where it's just like I
Mm-hmm.
wake up, I go to a job, I come back home, I eat dinner, and you do that, and then you see your significant other on the weekend and you do some activity, like you go out for lunch or dinner and you click your photos, put them on Instagram, get likes, and then you're back at the job on Monday. And I'm just like, what the fuck? That anxiety kicks in, and I'm just like, no, 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 this is not me. This ain't it, chief.
Well,
So
so it sounds like you're either gonna crack and make games or find some other way to express yourself creatively or just suffer. I don't know which one you
yeah,
want to choose.
I, I don't know yet. I don't which one I want. I just want to be I just don't want to have like an existential nightmare every Wednesday, That's one thing. What do I want? Look, man, I didn't come on this podcast for all these deep questions, you know what I mean?
Right, right, right,
I'm
right,
just
right.
kidding. But no, I get it. Like, I don't know. I don't have this solved. Like, I can be honest when I say
That's okay.
that I don't know this. I don't have this figured out.
Uh, I think you're right that you're going um to find a way to like deal with your creativity and find something to break you away from that societal pattern, um, because I can hear the agony when you speak about it. Um,
Yep. Yep.
I think maybe you were done a disservice by commercialization of your art. It's good. Maybe it gave you a couple years of life, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it sure did. It sure did.
But it's it's come at the detriment of that intimate relationship that you had with the process. And I think reconnecting with that has been part of it has been a very satisfying thing for myself to do. Like, I'm just fucking around with weird shit in Unity, and I'm not doing it alone because I can't afford to do anything alone anymore. But it's also not like this definitely has to make money. This is definitely, because then it becomes, you know, then I'm posting my screenshots and getting the like, and then I'm, you know, uploading my prototype to itches and getting the like, and then I'm
Getting
counting
the
Steam
likes.
reviews, right? Like, and
Getting the likes, yeah.
That's not what I want to do with it. Like, I'm just enjoying the process of fucking around and enjoying creating, and I hope you can find that for yourself, whatever form it takes. Maybe it's not games. Maybe games has run its course for you. I doubt it, but
yeah, me too. But yeah, it's possible.
But just making things is fun, and enjoying that process is fun. And I encourage everybody in the chat who is having a similar creative struggle to remember the joy of creating is part of the joy of it entirely. Yeah, dude.
That helps, man. This gives me like a lot of perspective. I hadn't like thought about a lot of these things from the way you put it, especially like that bit about how like having like a commercial success can just like throw you off, right? I remember the time when I used to like just make games because that's just what I wanted to do, and I don't think I've done that in a while. So that would be something I could, you know,
Don't
go back in and see if I can.
I mean, if you still can. I mean, maybe, you know, who knows?
Let's see, because I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll check back in with you in a couple of months.
Yes. Dude, it has been an absolute pleasure catching up with you. It is a
same
damn shame we don't
I was
get
looking
to,
forward
to
to
speak
this.
more frequently. I know we had scheduling conflict last time and everything, but holy crap, it's so good. Such a good talk.
This was great, man. I was really looking forward to this, and I'm glad we got to talk because it's been such a long time.
Yeah.
And we really hit it off, I think, at PAX.
Yeah.
All those years back. So it was nice to get in touch and like hear your perspective.
Yep.
And yeah, it's
good.
good.
And I want to thank everybody in the chat for. I know we didn't answer like any of the questions you guys have posted, but I don't think that matters. Thank you for tuning in. We're gonna bounce now. I'll figure out where to send you guys in a minute. They all say thank you for coming in. Let's see.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, don't forget to check out Lovely Planet 2, Super Lovely Planet, Lovely Planet Arcade. Buy all 4 games and support this beautiful
probably some
man.
package.
And I will see you guys tomorrow at 1, where we'll probably be fixing bugs for Karen, because I don't know. I think it's pretty bug free. Who knows what we'll do? Maybe I'll do weird shit. You can't control me. You're just an audience. All right. Anyway, guys, we'll see you later. Bye.
Cheers.